consider a run for public office. I couldn't help but thinking while he was speaking that if I could speak like him, I might be governor of California. He had an accent. Okay, I'll be back later for lessons. Okay, next up is a gentleman who has been referred to as a fiery competitor in the class of '04. Someone who never quit, who doesn't know the meaning of stopping. A very outgoing gentleman by the name of Lex Erden.
Surprise, I gave you the mic. Oh, yeah. No, every time. No, this is not the pre-approved, so you gotta be careful. No, every time I come to Williams, I always think, how on earth did I end up here? Because, you know, everyone knows that Dave is very aggressive recruiter. Very aggressive. He goes out of his way for everyone. And I still remember my recruiting trip, because, you know, it was nice. He put me up with Peter Spring. Very nice guy. Very nice guy. You know, I'm thinking it's college. It was going to be great. I go, we're going to party. You know, we're going to be wild. And meet some girls. Nothing like that. We ended up on the second floor of Goodrich, and I ended up reading the Williams record. Because Peter was off studying and telling him his girlfriend on the second floor. I'm like, how on earth did I end up with Williams? But maybe that's not fair. Maybe, you know, you can only figure out it's a good recruiting trip by comparing it to something else. What better to compare it to than your Amherst recruiting trip? You know, because as already said, you know, Amherst is how we measure our success. If we beat Amherst, it's a good season. No one bought any of that. So I remember my visit to Amherst. I walked in, and I don't know if you all know Peter Robson. Very small guy, wears clothes that are about 5 times too big for him. And, you know, he sits down, shakes my hand, he has an office. He's dressed nicely, like good start, it's great. And it's like, you know, he starts asking about players that I know, you know, David Gervaisi, I'm like, yeah, I know this guy. You know, Steve Siegel, oh yeah, he's like, you know, Brian Wexler, like, yeah, oh yeah, I know. And I'm like, this is great, you know, forming a little rapport, you know, we have the same people. And he's like, well, you know, we need more players like that, not like you. Like, wow. Okay, well then I guess my Williams recruiting trip was pretty good. I didn't get insulted, and I didn't get told I was not supposed to come here. So maybe, you know, maybe it's not fair. Maybe it was just me. You know, maybe Dave, you know, recruited everyone else here very heavily, you know, pretty good job. And then my junior year came around, and there was a little high school gathering. All the best players from the Eastern and New England sections had one tournament at Yale. It's perfect for coaches. You come out, you can recruit, you can meet the players, they give you their resumes. You don't have to go out and actually see them or try to meet them. All the coaches there, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all of NESCAC. So Dave decides to send me and Jeff Kittens. And so, you know, we're there, and, you know, we're sitting there, and I think we had like everyone's resume, and we're supposed to be watching and taking notes. And basically we just wrote down what celebrities the guys look like the next day. And so eventually, the coaches are looking at us and they're like, what are these guys doing? And 2 coaches actually came up and approached us. And one was Dave Schwartz from Middlebury, and the other was Chuck Minion from Dartmouth. And they come up and they have this little smirks on their face, and they're like, sir, it's like, come on, where's Dave? You know, it's like, he's got important business. You know, he's got to have something, right? He's not just blowing this off. Like, I think he's probably talking to some undergrad girl. Honestly, I don't know where he is. So Chuck Kenyon starts to get a little pissed. He's like, you know, I don't understand this. This cow. He stole Murray's from me. He was a lineman, and I dined him. And they went to Williams. He's like, he can't even show me. He doesn't even recruit me. What is it? He goes, tell me the secret. What is it? Like, I don't know. Things start running through my mind. Like, he makes us take shots at wheatgrass and almost make us throw up. He gets us up at 7 in the morning for absolutely no reason just to make us up. We get up, what, 3 hours to the court before a match just because he's getting a little nervous. And, like, I'm really thinking, I'm like, what is it? Like, you know, obviously we're a very successful group, and everyone decided to come here. Everyone's very happy about coming here. We're all here. know, thinking about it, what it came down to is that Dave was always very good about finding balance. And he knew that you could achieve balance in many ways. A lot of times you have personal issues going on, tennis was a way to find that balance. And if you were good in your life, tennis was a way of expressing that. And so he always knew the right thing to say. Knew what it took to inspire you, what it took to motivate you, what it took to challenge you. But I think more importantly, he always knew what he didn't have to say. What could be left unsaid. He knew in the end, we all had to choose our own path. We had to find our own way. And so he was always very, very good about that. But some things should not be left unsaid. And so, Dave, you are a great coach, great friend, great mentor, and I know that I speak for everyone in here, but I am supremely happy that our lives crossed, because we are better for every measure. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lex. That was terrific. Next, I'd like to call upon a doctor. Someone who, when he was a member of the team, was known as the X Factor. Because I'm advised that he drove his opponents crazy on the changeover. You know what I'm talking about, Dave? Because apparently he drove you crazy his first year here. And that is Dr. Bill Stephens. Bill?
Take the mic out of its holster. I clipped the little wire thing, or the little plastic thing that was holding it down before, so we got some extra string to move around. Alright, my name is Bill Stephens, I'm class of 99, and I am sort of one of the more mediocre players from Dave's reign here over his 20 years. And I was most well known for my on-court power, which resembled that of a 12-year-old girl. That's true, I did talk a lot during the changeover. It was just to calm myself down. So as a bit of a background, sort of my training was really with was under the tutelage of, let's see here, I got a little, I don't know if it's going to work from this far. Mac was blocking me. There we go. This is actually Father Hosey. My high school tennis coach. I went to a Jesuit high school. And I was under his tutelage that I learned how to stroke the ball. He was a great guy. What are you guys thinking? No. Let's keep it classy. Keep it classy. Listen, now, for this talk, what I want to do is sort of talk about Dave, but also through our experience, as a team. We've talked a lot about Dave tonight. I want to give you a picture of sort of a snapshot of what it was like to play for Dave, the players that played for Dave, and what we went through, and the way that Dave had to sort of bend to our whims and our personalities to make the team flow, which I think was his most amazing quality. So, let me advance the slide. This thing's, Scott, you might have to help me. Here we go. Alright, so, Dave was charged with a very challenging task, which was that he had to somehow manage a group of very competitive players who were often forced to compete with each other and then, against each other during challenge matches. And I think he did this by being more of sort of a big picture guy. He was a gentle herder rather than a dictator. He managed, very on high. He understood the essence of why we were there, which is really just to compete, to sharpen our skills, and to be good sports, and to become friends. That was sort of the main goal. And as a result, we had we had a very strong team morale. We were very close. We were like a family from day one, which was great. I think that good teams can be ruined by a bad coach, and I think Lex actually talked about that as well. His interview, right, at Amherst. So I actually have something to add to that. Robo. This is actually an actual photo of what this guy looks like. His players had to refer to him as coach, right? And when we met them, when we met them freshman year, they were all sort of excited, young, very talented team. We had a similar talent level, sort of similar group of guys. And then over the course of a few years, they just became so demoralized. There was no cohesion that we were eventually beating them so badly that we were just friends with them. It wasn't even like a match. And my senior year, no joke, one of the players from Amherst went up to Eric before the match and said, "Just so you know, I'm going to tank this match." and he did. Eric went on like 3 minutes. I mean, in the Williams-Amherst rivalry, when is that going to happen? Legendary. So, Dave is known for his great quotes as well. Sort of a man of few words, but everything kind of. This is actually a picture of what I experience all the time, which is on the changeovers. Billy. Like he's got a bagel in hand. He's like, "You need to eat something. You look shaky out there." Enough with the histrionics. The histrionics have to stop Billy. Billy, please. So what I wanted to do is sort of, go through a couple of the Dave-isms that we came to know and love, and I think these will apply to all generations. My wireless slide advanced, so there we go. So some Dave-isms. Everyone knows this one. Classy team, classy players! This would go on no matter what. You could be like swearing in the van, you could hit your racket on the net, no matter what it was. This is his mantra. If you did something wrong, this is coming out of Dave's mouth. So, next one, that was another one of my favorites. For no reason at all. You could do nothing wrong. It was only at the end of a match when we had already won it that he'd start issuing these. I'd be swearing under my breath, up like 5-0 in the second set, and he'd be like, Billy, that is, no, point penalty, player, it would be player, point penalty. Like, he didn't even know my name. Player, court 5, point penalty. Next, God, this thing's really... It's on the program. It was an advanced, mysterious algorithm. We never knew what was going to be on the program because we've been playing with the same balls from February until May. And then out of nowhere, when he was like, "You want the poppy seed bagel?" It's on the program. Let's do it. You want extra cream and cheese? It's on the program. Fried Snapple? It's on the program. And this is especially relevant during our winter season, which was kind of quiet. And it was because of this thing, the Fieldhouse neck crank. Okay, this thing must have been brought in by Ephraim Williams on a stage because it was the most valuable thing. There was only one, and you could literally, it was hidden in like a back closet. You had to go to the Chapin Library and actually handle her with a key to get it out. And I mean, it was a disaster. And there was one for all 5 courts. It didn't even have a handle on it. You had to like sort of jimmer it. So, that was not on the program, to say the least. The program is not supporting that. Next ridiculous thing is our conditioning program. It consists of about 2 days a year. One was the penny drill, which was referenced earlier. He'd be like, "Players, Saturday morning we're going to be meeting at the squash coach for suicides with pennies." For some reason, every year, pennies, suicides in the squash courts. No reason behind it. One day. There were no repercussions for if you didn't do well, nothing. That was our spring conditioning. Then one run around with Blair Hill, what was it? And for some reason, then we had to run 2 miles under 13 minutes. And no punishment if you didn't do it. People would be coming in like 20 minutes, you'd be laughing. Never did another thing. There's no more conditioning. Next, and everyone must know this, because Dave actually always claimed to be the number 2 in command. So he was always like, "I'm sorry, the computer's decided. The computer's decided." Well, we decided to take a look. What's the computer? Here's the computer. There's a little something for you. That was actually the computer that Dave was using to make all of his coaching decisions. This is a picture of his office, Commodore 64. And the computer decided a couple things. It calculated the most annoying possible challenge matches that would ruin friendships for half the season. He'd be like, "Billy, why don't you play Zinni in the field house? Our least favorite place to play, courts were unfair, blah, 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 And then it also had sort of an interesting sort of algorithm for deciding the lineup, which had nothing to do with challenge matches, nothing. It's on a whim. Alright. So anyways, here's a picture of our team. Again, this is, what I tried to do is sort of expand upon some of our own experiences in the larger picture. This is a picture from, I think, '96 at Swarthmore, maybe? I can't remember. And I think it was Nescax or maybe the first round of Nationals. And so, we've got a lot of players here that most of you will recognize, some legends. And so I wanted to go through just a couple, I think 3 players total. I'm going to go very quickly through this and then we're done. About sort of how Dave really, one of his greatest qualities was that he was very flexible and he understood people's personalities. Not flexible he understood how we worked and he worked with us and he was very different to each person. He let some things slide and other people he wouldn't let it slide. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how his sort of Zen-like approach to the players helped our team to do so well, because otherwise half the players would not have stuck around. That's for sure. First player, Sherman Y. Lim. Import from Singapore. Completely mysterious. Showed up in the fall of like '96, playing with a Wilson profile, strung at 37 pounds. Davis Cup captain of Singapore. He was absolutely unbelievable. He had the best hands you've ever seen. And the worst work ethic, diet plan. And his conditions were simple for playing, which Dave really wouldn't go into it with us. But his conditions were he didn't have to go to practice ever. He had no fitness requirements. When we ran that B Hill run, Sherman, I'm not kidding, was at Colonial. And very tough, man, very tough. So here's Sherman Lim, dreaming of a small burger, which you see up there in the top left. So strikes, amazing hands. He's the only person from our team that had a full swing sliced backhand volley drop shot. As part of his actual, it would happen once a game, just full, he was a serve and volleyer. It was unbelievable. And his ability, he was so afraid of having to play a third set because of his weakness number 1, that the second you even mentioned to him, David would be like, Sherman, you do realize that you're down 3-0 in the second, and you'd have to play a third set if you lose this. He would come back and just destroy the game, play a golden set. Sherman's other condition, as you see, weakness number 2, is a penchant for women folk. Sherman, one of his requirements was that he would actually ask for the coordinates of the nearest gentleman's club on away matches. I'm not kidding. And it would always be in this sort of high, innocent voice, like, hey, do you know where the club is for gentlemen? And the other thing is, Sherman would always lose challenge matches to me. It was way lower. I was, way down in the lineup. He'd lose to me and he'd say, too hard, man. He'd be like, you're just too good. And then he'd be like, I want your spot. He didn't want to work that hard. He's like, come on, man. Let me have your spot. We'd beat him 6-0. So Dave's intervention, how do you deal with a player like this? Do whatever you want. Just show up for nationals, please. That was it. That's actually a picture of Sherman's racket. I'm not kidding. That's what he used. That's only supposed to be used for feeding balls. So, player number 2 that we're going to have to talk about. Who is this guy? Is he here tonight? Look at him now. Can you just stand up for a moment, just for a comparison? Living legend, Andy Finnegan. One of the most dominant players of all time. Dominant. And I don't know if that big yellow circle is as appropriate as maybe something a little different. He had a lot of strengths. Number 1, he's the Messiah. I think it's huge, and it helped us a lot. He had a great match record as a result. Incredible all-court game, and he said very few words. He'd be like, "How'd you do?" And he'd be like, "I delivered the chance." I think that means he won because he always won. And then if anybody else is getting worked up, you just out of nowhere hear, "Chill." But his only weakness, which is, normal for a Messiah, is to have some stalkers. So this is a brief story. Basically, we were out in California, we were playing the spring trip, and this guy came 2 years in a row. So this is the second year, this random guy, so classic stalker look, like some kind of trench coat, gray hair, kind of skinny, weird looking, and he was sketching Andrew as he played. Like furiously, he had pages and pages. He was drawing rapid fire, a Pictionary. And So, Andrew was kind of bothered by this. He's a private guy, kind of quiet, and he's like, oh, God, Dave was like, so Dave's intervention, again, he didn't make a big to-do about it. He just sort of subtly asked a couple of the players that enjoy talking to people to go over and intervene. And so he's like, Billy, Billy and Xander, will you guys come over there and just go talk to that guy, see what he's doing. So Scott and I go over there, and this guy was insane. He was either going to kill us or leave. And so we knew this could have been the end for us. So we walk over and we're like, how you doing? And he's like, I'm doing really well. And we were like, well, what are you doing? Can we see what you're drawing? And he's like, and for no reason he just said, talking about Andrew, he said, don't you think your friend's a little psychologically defensive? Never spoken to him, I don't know. So we thought that was so funny. So we decided we were going to draw him, standing right next to him. And he left. He didn't kill us. So, again, Dave's intervention, which was very, very helpful, kept Andrew happy. Next, I think our last pair comparison. Yes, the one and only Jim Frank. Looking good there. His eyes are shut. He still looks better than all of us. So, again, James Frank. This is our last player we're talking about. Classic strokes. He's a classy player. And as you can all see and readily witness today, unmatched beauty. So the only weaknesses, which had nothing to do with his game, is that he required new rackets and shoes on every changeover. Which cost the program a fortune. Probably Billy Simon, actually. Billy, please, and his personal stylist also had to travel with the team, which is tough. Dave. Oh yeah, this is important. This was actually one of the nights where we went out, and James would hold a weekly lecture series on how to quote-unquote get it done. And this is James wearing sunglasses. You can tell outside it's pitch black, and so unknown. So Dave's intervention for that was simple. Don't mess with perfection. Hands-off approach. That's right. James is an awesome player, great guy. And this is a very quick story. This is actually our first national title. I mean, it's a horrible picture for that poor guy, but basically, this was out in California. It was pollen season. I played. Here's the guy that I played, and first set, he absolutely crushed me. This guy he aced me in the match total literally 30 times. He had the biggest serve I've ever seen. Explosive forehand, like frightening guy. And I was falling. I mean, I've never fallen on the court. I fell like 3 times in the first set, and I realized that I'd had the same shoes for 2 years. So I'm like, Dave, I have no traction left. And he's like, take my shoes. I was like, what size are you? I'm like, I'm a 10.5. He's like, I'm a 9.5. I'm gonna take the insoles out. So I'm playing on like the Kevlar base. And I'm like, this kind of hurts, and they're small. But they worked, and fortunately, through a lot of luck, honestly, this guy was much better than I was. But I ended up coming back, taking him down. That was our first national title. So you can tell Dave here laughing heartily at this poor guy, just hysterically. Couldn't get enough of it. Now we actually sent a signed picture from all of us to him, and we never heard from him. Anyway, so this is sort of our this is basically all to say. What I just showed you guys was a very small snapshot of many, many, many years. This was like 3 years worth of stuff. And here's just a picture from today to show, how many people have been affected by Dave's life, how much we love him, and again, he really helped us to achieve what you'd want to achieve in a college sport, which is, to sharpen your competitive drive, and most importantly, to develop lifelong friendships. And we did that, and so Dave, just wanted to say we love you, and thank you so much for everything.